Trucking, got my chips cashed in. Keep trucking, like the doodah man. Together, more or less in line. Just keep trucking on.
Hey yo, it's Boxing Day. It's Boxing Day. I'm not sure what the purpose of Boxing Day is. I know it's a UK holiday that I learned about its existence, I think, from watching soccer on the television, because there's always massive loads of games on Boxing Day. It's just like a tradition thing. So that's how I learned about it. Keep it in your hat. It's a good day to know, just because. So I'm here. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's been going on around here. I'll throw some pictures in the show notes, which you can find at homesteadsandhomeschools.com/GVQ04. There'll be some pictures in there, and I don't know, maybe some links if there's links. I don't know. A link to my Amazon account. You can always go there, homesteadsandhomeschools.com/Amazon, and help me out. Send a little kickback here or there, or you can go to Patreon, patreon.com/thelibertyhippie, and you will get some seeds, some bonus content, and some other goodies that are there for you to have. You should also go check out the show notes, because there will be a link to the Discord server that I have set up. I'd like to see that thing kind of grow a little bit, just because it's a little more interactive than the Facebook and the rest of it, and it allows for a better communication, I think. It's fun. Anyway, go check that out. That will be in the show notes as well. So it's Christmas, day after Christmas. I'm recording this day before Christmas. What happened over here? The garden's coming along. We had some really cold nights. Not too many, but a couple. Got down to like 27, 20, 28, 27, 26. And I was really concerned about our cauliflower. Usually the stuff we plant in the winter, it can withstand those temps. A lot of the brassicas can do that. Your cabbage, your broccoli, they can survive. They do okay. They overwinter well, and they're fine. The cauliflower, it always seems it's not quite as hardy as some of the other brassicas. So I'm always concerned about that. And they're finally coming. The little heads are the size of a golf ball, maybe a little bit bigger now. So I was quite concerned about that, but they made it. They survived. So looking at the forecast, I don't see any cold nights like that coming up anytime soon. So hopefully we'll be able to harvest that in a little bit here and have some cauliflower. Cauliflower is one of those things that I don't know. I mean, it's a nice break from the broccoli, from the cabbage, from all the green stuff. Little different flavor, a little different texture, and you pick that up in the store, and it's quite expensive. So always fun to grow some of that. And I think looking through some seed catalogs, because that's also what I've been doing, of course, going through the seed catalogs on a cold night in front of the wood stove. So there's some different colored cauliflowers out there, and it might be fun to kind of grow some of those. But the garden's going well, and we've been getting lots and lots and lots of rain, which, has its perks. You don't have to water anything, and, that's nice. But at the same time, it can turn things into a mess. All those little armadillo holes are now puddles. The chickens are pretty wet, and, it's funny, the goats and the dogs, they'll go in their barn. They have a shelter, and they'll go in there on occasion. But more often than not, they're out running around. They don't mind the rain. Unless it's really hard rain, they don't seem to mind it. And it's kind of surprising. I expected them to utilize the barn much more than they are. But I don't know, I guess that's what they do. They're outdoor animals, and they enjoy it. So we had some meat birds. And I say had because their day of reckoning came and went. And I learned a few things here and there about them, which was kind of, it's the first time we've done it. We've done, the get a batch of chickens of meat and egg breeds. And so we'll get just a straight run, and usually we keep the hens and a couple of roosters and butcher the rest of the roosters. But they're always, they're smaller birds, and they take longer to grow out. This time we went with the Cornish cross. This was the first time that we had tried it. And I'm quite impressed. They most of our birds were about 5 pounds, 5 or 6 pounds. A couple were up in the upper sixes, and a couple quarts just under 5 pounds. But they grew fast. We butchered them at about 8 weeks. We had a couple that kind of sat down on their butts and sat with their legs out, and like they almost got punched in the face, and we're trying to get their wits about them. And I'll put some of those pictures in the show notes. And so I asked around. I didn't think that there was any sort of disease. I suspected this was more of the problems that you hear associated with these types of birds that grow so fast. And that was pretty much what it came out to be, I think, is that I ended up overfeeding them, and they did grow a little too fast, and so they got a little heavy for their legs, and chose not to walk around much. So next time around, I will try to feed them less, and hopefully next time around we'll be able to get them out free ranging a little bit more. I had anticipated on putting them out more, but the rate at which they grow compared to the rate that their feathers grow, they're not equal. So these, your normal chickens, they grow and they're covered in feathers and they can stay nice and warm. These guys have a fair bit of skin showing, and didn't really want to put them out when it was cold and windy. And they're still kind of young. So they were inside for a while. They were in the garage for a while, and they did get out. And we, last 2 or 3 weeks, they were outside in a run in a chicken sort of tractor that we have. And that was good. But I think that, next time that will be, it'll be warmer, and we'll be able to do that more. And that will allow them to free range a little bit more and cut down on some of the feed costs. All in all, we had initially ordered 16 birds, and 2 died within the first 2 days maybe. And then one of them I had to put down because she just kind of, it was probably 6 weeks in, and she did that sit down thing and wasn't getting any better, and I wasn't quite sure what was going on. So I butchered her and took care of that. We ended up with about 75 pounds of meat between 13 birds. And it came out to be just under $2.50 a pound. Now, it's not organic meat. I did use, some of the stuff from Tractor Supply, but I was able to get some organic feed that was half off, that cost just as much, if not less, than the standard conventional feed. So, they're half and half, if you will, but should be good meat, tasty meat. And it's always nice to put meat in your freezer and have that for later when you need it. Some other things going on. Oh man, we have a water softener. Our water is just saturated with iron. It's hard water, and we got a water softener, and I have to clean the Venturi pump like once every 2 or 3 months because it just gets all gummed up with iron, and it just doesn't work. Well, the rings inside the head, I believe, have gone bad, and some of the water has leaked through and got my electronic components wet, so those need to be replaced. And I tell you, it's not enjoyable to not have a water softener. It's one of those things that you kind of take for granted. It's out there. I don't mind the smell of the iron in the water, and I don't even really mind using it to bathe or to clean. But the problem is when you go and your toilets become orange and your clothes become orange. I washed my daughter's comforter in there, and it's got some white parts in it, and they are no longer white. They're kind of orange. So really one of those things that you take for granted when you have it, and when you don't, you wish you did. So going to try to fix that bad boy up here right after Christmas, and we should be good to go. But really all the outdoor stuff, got some finally able to get out and cut some more wood up. That's coming along. Got 2 saws. My father came down and he had an extra chainsaw and dropped it off. It was a dump rescue, one of those ones that somebody dropped off the dump because, I don't know, it was not working for them. And the chain had gotten wrapped around the sprocket, the cog there, and had stopped. They ran out of oil, and they dumped it. So my father brought it home, played with it a little bit, and now it works. It's not a great saw, but it's a saw, and it's super helpful to have 2 saws. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten a chainsaw stuck, and just it's a nightmare when you get your chainsaw stuck in a tree, and you got to try to take the engine off, take the bar off, and if you don't have another bar, well, what's the point? And there's some tricks. You chain your tree to a tractor and try to pull it, and get your hand saws out and break your elbow, and but so that's good, and we'll be nice and toasty next year. And of course, homeschooling is coming and going, and it's we're really trying to get through it. We're kind of debating whether or not we should use this curriculum again, or kind of go back to trying to make our own curriculum. One of the things that's really nice about making your own curriculum is that you have the final say. Now, you have the final say when you used a box curriculum, but at the same time, for me anyway, and my wife to some degree too, it's tricky. Like you feel like, well, I'm supposed to do this. This for some reason, this piece of paper tells me to do it, and I have to do it this way, or I have to get X, Y, Z done. And part of that's my personality or whatever, but not having a box curriculum kind of frees you up a little bit, or even being able to step back from that box curriculum and just use it as an outline, as a guide, can be helpful, can be useful. So we're going to try to do that. I think it's going to be tricky because we have 3 children, and we're trying to figure out a way, kind of more the classical sort of style. We're all 3 kids are sort of doing the same thing, but at different levels. And I don't know, we may try to find a box that does that, but again, I don't know, we'll see how that goes. If anybody has suggestions as to what curriculums may or may not meet those standards, I'd love to hear them. You can hit me up through Gmail, homesteadsandhomeschools@gmail.com, on Twitter, HS and HS Pod, or in the Facebook group, the Homesteaded Homeschool Forum, or you could even go join that Discord server, and throw it out there. So yeah, things are moving along with the homeschooling. Moving along. You run into some difficulties, and it's kind of, So our younger 2 are adopted, and our daughter was 3.5 when she came to us, and I'm not sure what things looked like for the first 3.5 years, but we're behind a little bit, and we're starting to notice some of those things as we go through school. And some of those things are just simple things that you wouldn't think about, but things like being able to organize a thought, or be able to organize concepts, and not really deep thinking, but a higher level thinking than just what is in front of me right here and now. And so that's something we've really kind of been trying to grasp, trying to work with, trying to understand. For me, it's difficult. I've had two kids go through already, and so a concept is easy, or they're able to do some of this stuff, and so teaching it is easy. And so when I try to teach the same thing and it's much more difficult, I can get kind of frustrated at times, and it's difficult. It's difficult to suss out what is, an actual lack of understanding and, what sometimes is, I don't know, early signs of ADD or whatever you want to call it, where you just kind of zone out and are no longer present, if you will. And so we're trying to come up with different ways to kind of meet that, to try to make it work for everyone. Because you want learning to be fun. You want it to be enjoyable. This isn't, homeschooling isn't something that's supposed to be this horrendous beast of a creature that is unenjoyable. I mean, if you want to have an unenjoyable learning experience, go to public school. You keep your kids home so that they enjoy it, so that they learn to, do the things that are necessary in life. I will say this, it's quite interesting. As for the higher level learning sort of thing, so my daughter can read fairly well, and she knows letters, she knows how to sound things out. The comprehension is kind of what's lacking. We introduced her to some basic math, simple math, 1 + 1, 2 + 2, that sort of thing, up to about 5. And she latched right onto that. And she has been doing a pretty good job with that. And it's one of those things she's really proud of, and it's great to see, and so we're trying to build on that a little bit. We have some problems with concepts such as zero, which I think, is understandable. As a little kid, you can kind of maybe have some problems with that, but that's sort of our homeschooling front. But anyway, I am going to put this on pause and go get my guest. All right, so I got my guest here, and he is going to tell you a few things about, talking about the chickens a little bit. But yeah, so this is my son. He is just about to be 10, and So, Ronan, what was your favorite part about the chickens?
Probably caring for my month-old baby chicken.
Oh, right. So we got to talk about that. So I made the mistake of, I think I mentioned this before. Free things. I love free things, and so when I ordered the chickens from Murray McMurray, they give you a free chick. And when you get a free chick, it's all well and good, except that it grew at, I don't know, a third of the rate as the Cornish cross. So now all the Cornish cross are butchered, and the little chick doesn't really get along too well with our other chickens. So right now he's kind of an inside pet chicken, and my son has sort of taken that over as his role. So what about butchering the chickens? What was that?
Tearing off the feathers, definitely.
Okay. It's funny because it didn't bother you guys too much when you were doing it, right?
No, it didn't.
But yeah, so it's curious because I think when I was a kid, if I had to butcher chickens, it would have been, sort of problematic. Not problematic, but I would have been a little hesitant. But these guys kind of got into it, and they knew ahead of time that, these are chickens that are going to go in the freezer. They're not pets, and that's what you do with it. So what else did you? I know you plucked the feathers out. What else did you do?
I dipped them in the boiling water, and I think I may have watched. Yeah, I watched you cut all the guts and that out.
Yeah, so it turned into like a little biology lesson. Got to rip out their insides and check that out and learn what the liver is and what the heart looks like, and got to cut it open and see the different vents and all that goodness. So, yeah, I don't know. Anything else you want to say? Well, I got you up here.
Not really.
What about homeschooling? What's your favorite part about homeschooling here?
Probably that we get done at 12 o'clock.
So he likes to get done early. Okay, he makes sense, I guess. He crushes it. He goes through pretty fast, and we get all that done. So all right. So I don't know. I guess that's all. So that's him. We got it done. We all sort of butchered them together, and it was kind of fun. It was the first time that we actually got a process going. Usually it's just my wife and I, and the kids will be there, but they're not quite old enough to help, and this year was the first time that they were really old enough to help. So, I'd butcher them, and they'd pluck the feathers and give me a plucked bird, and I'd eviscerate it, and they'd get it back, rinse it out, and throw it in the cooler, and I'd be on to the next one. So it worked. It was quite the process. It was actually kind of fun. Spent the afternoon, a nice fall afternoon, hands deep in chicken guts. So January's coming up, and I'll have another update then. I think we might be getting some more goats, specifically dairy goats, and we'll go from there, and I'll have some updates then. For now, enjoy your time. Enjoy your time. New Year's is coming up, so some advice: set your resolutions. Make resolutions. They're always good to make resolutions. Make them attainable. When you set these lofty resolutions about losing 5 pounds, 10 pounds, running a marathon, whatever it is, all well and good. But if you're not going to do it, it kind of can defeat yourself. Make it simple. Breathing. I want to breathe all year for 2020. I want to eat at least one meal a day for 2020. Easy things, folks. Easy things. Anyways, thank you all for sticking with me. Enjoy everything. Enjoy it all. And I'll see you on Tuesday when I have another episode coming up. The last one for 2019. All right, folks, get out there. Sow those seeds of liberty. We can all reap sheaves of freedom together.
I'm gonna ride us his dream.